in your particular area. The first submitters that we have are Dallas Seymour and Julian.
Yes,
right, from Sport New Zealand and Sport Canterbury. You will see a little clock. Not during your presentation, but just so you're aware from the start, there's 15 minutes, and we will tend to keep to those times quite rigorously. At the end of your presentation, a little clock will come up. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are in your hands.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. As the introduction just said from Vicky, that my name's Julian Falloon. I'm the Chief Executive of Sport Canterbury, and this is Dallas Seymour, a Relationship Manager based in Christchurch from Sport New Zealand. So we made a dual submission to you today. I guess that the key thing in terms of our presentation, I was going to summarise the key points that we really want to make today. I think the first thing is that we believe that there's a huge potential for Ngā Pūnawai to become a really fantastic community facility and regional hub for three of the key sports that have had huge impact from the earthquake: athletics, hockey and tennis. We think it's a facility hub that has huge potential in a collaborative way. I think the last 3 years have shown our ability as a sector to bring sports together and work together, and the three sports that will come after me this morning will actually show that message of how collaborative they actually are. We think there's huge potential beyond the three sports from a sport and recreation perspective to show greater, wider collaboration in time. And by positioning this facility in the Ngā Pūnawai environment, the future potential of growth of sport and recreation infrastructure and participation is fantastic. And we think it's obviously the last 3 years, and part of the Ngā Pūnawai concept is around replacing and upgrading current facilities, but it's also an opportunity to add to the sport and recreation network. Obviously the last 3 years have been about recovery, but this is the first concept we believe that can actually add a huge amount of value to the infrastructure of sport in our great city. Dallas will finish at the end of our presentation, but we think it's one of the few projects that will obviously requiring significant capital that will actually bring stakeholder investment to the table. Dallas and I, myself from Sport Canterbury's perspective, along with Dallas from Sport New Zealand's perspective, have been trying to advocate for some government investment, both from the government but also from national community trust investments to add to this project. And that in addition to the capital that two key sports, especially hockey and tennis, can bring to the table and contribute to the Ngā Pūnawai concept. Over the last 3 years, I've been leading and chairing recovery process that's focused on a strategic document called Spaces, Places and People. And I just want to touch on that because it's a collaborative leadership process that we've been leading around recovery that's involved the key agencies of Sport New Zealand, obviously Sport Canterbury, but the three councils, of which Christchurch City has been key, along with Sarah. And we've been focusing on sort of 4 key outcomes around bringing participation back to pre-earthquake levels, creating a network of spaces and places that allow our Christchurch residents to both participate, perform and excel, and actually have a strategy in place where those facilities and that infrastructure can allow our talented athletes to remain in Canterbury. We also had a goal around bringing major sporting events back to the city, and obviously with Rugby World Cup not coming to Christchurch, that's been a huge driver, and I'll show you some imagery in a minute around Cricket World Cup and how we're revitalising that. Linking to Ngā Pūnawai, we've been advocating over the last 3 years of key principles around co-location and efficiencies around that, hubbing of not just one sport in isolation, but a collaborative of sports, and focus on partnership. Some of the work I'm getting involved with Sarah at the moment is wider than sport and recreation, but this initiative really at the moment is around, I believe, a partnership between the three key sports or anchor sports with potential for growth. In terms of participation, I thought I'd take the opportunity to celebrate really is that, as I said, one of our goals was to bring participation back to pre-earthquake levels. In December last year, we celebrated, and the three sports that are going to come in later on have joined in that celebration, is that we're back to 100% of pre-earthquake levels. And some of the sports, and tennis is one example, that they've actually pushed through in terms of participation, they're actually higher than they were pre-earthquake. And that creates another issue around this project, is the opportunity to cater for a facility infrastructure that caters for growth as well as recovery. But we've celebrated that. The second thing in terms of infrastructure and places and spaces to play sport and physical activity, I want to show you some imagery around it and celebrate the council work in terms of rebuild as well. acknowledging that we don't have a 50-metre indoor pool or an athletics track, you know, the AMI Stadium, built in 100 days with turf from the old AMI with lights from Carisbrook, a fantastic opportunity to bring back outdoor sporting events to the city, and your council has been key to that. The Christchurch Netball Centre athletics courts, obviously council-owned land, they've been repaired. Cal Stadium, I think it was close to $500,000 worth of repairs and strengthening that your council contributed to getting that indoor facility up and running post-earthquake. Washington Way, Councillor Yanni Johansson has been passionate about that, we know. So that's been a huge, you go down there on a Friday night and see the amount of participation that's happening around that facility for our young people. So that's a fantastic achievement as well. I've thrown Graham Condon Sport and Recreation Centre up there because I think that's an example of while it was planned and started pre-earthquake and then completed post-earthquake, there's a great example of your council partnering the Ministry of Education alongside the Northlands Mall in terms of a collaborative project of a hub of sport and recreation. And obviously the enhancement of the cricket oval along with the pavilion will add to bringing the World Cup to Christchurch in February. And obviously the metro, which is a key discussion point and another key hub in terms of the network, which is going to happen moving forward. But that's all very well. That's not catering for the three key sports that we'll follow up this morning with after my presentation around the need for both growth and enhanced network of facilities for both hockey and tennis, but also athletics because they don't have an all-weather athletics track. That infrastructure of facilities that I've just shown you doesn't cater for those three sports. And that's why we believe that the Ngā Sport and Recreation, or Southwest Sport and Recreation Hub is really the solution in a collaborative way for those three sports. We're advocating for the first three phases, and we believe, based on the conversations that we've been having with the three sports, that those three phases can happen in conjunction, and that's probably the council has to work their way through it. So we need an athletics track, we need a couple of hockey turfs, and a tennis centre. And we think, and Dallas will talk a little bit around resources in a minute, that is the priority. That is a fantastic opportunity for a collaborative hub in the southwest area of town where population is growing. And we also believe that there's a lot of other sport and recreation happening around the Canterbury Agricultural Park in Ngā as well. Equestrian's an interesting one in terms of eventing. Dallas and I met with Equestrian New Zealand yesterday, and from an eventing perspective and cross-country perspective, not applicable to Ngā Maclean's Island is their preferred hub, but definitely for equestrian in terms of show jumping and dressage that the current facility allows for, yes. Polo's obviously there and rugby league. So there's a nice, neat hub already there that both athletics, tennis and hockey can add to in a collaborative way. Dallas.
So in terms of the investment, as we said, we'll leave both tennis and hockey to talk about their own particular situations, but we're working with, through our CEO and board and the National Gaming Trust to bring some resource to the table to make sure that we can add to the capital cost of getting our Punawai off the ground. We don't have final sign-off yet, and I guess part of that is contingent with as to what the council decision is on Punawai. But we're very active in that space, and it also the overall concept of Ngā Punawai aligns with our national facilities strategy, which is currently drafted and looking to be signed off by our board in the next couple of months as well. So while we can't give any quantum around what investment we can bring to the table, we're certainly serious about getting as much capital to the table that we can bring together to help Ngā Punawai get off the ground. And we do acknowledge and recognise the situation that the council is in, with the current rebuild of Christchurch and the report that's come back from Koromenta, and we're acknowledging that we're more than happy to step up and play our part to help Christchurch out and get sport back on its feet and help the city get back on its feet as well.
One final comment that we'd like to finish with is, and we believe that the aspiration around Ngā Punawai is to create a world-class regional community facility. So yes, while it will be able to cater for the high end of sport, this is really, from a Sport Canterbury perspective, a community facility to allow for community participation of grassroots sport, in addition to be able to hold events, competitions for the high end of sport. And that's where the three sports will talk to you in a little bit more detail later on this morning.
Yeah, hi guys, thanks for that. In terms of this not being in the draft annual plan, have you had much conversation with staff? Because I know we're due to get a big briefing on it quite shortly. Do you know what their current position is on this?
The concept plan, you've been working closely with Simon Battrick and his team
Right.
at Council. And the concept plans that I showed you there have been created in association with Council.
Yeah. So it is still happening as far as you're concerned, but just slightly delayed?
That's our understanding, yes.
Sorry, we asked for a feasibility. Last year's annual plan, there was no money on budget to do anything, but there was a concept. What the last council did was ask for money be put aside to do a feasibility, which is just finished, and we still haven't been briefed on that. But we have made that feasibility study available to the sports groups and to the AMP Association so people can see the work. The next step for us is to get a briefing on it and then make decisions about whether we wish to proceed.
Good morning. Thanks for your presentation. You had a slide up there before referring to collaborative investment, and one of your partners in that was the National Gaming Trusts. To what extent does this project rely on funding from gaming trusts?
Well, we know the first three stages, which is based around athletics, hockey and tennis. Currently, that plan that's been put out by council is around $35 million. Again, we'll leave the other two sports to talk about their contributions. But what we're working in the background with Sport New Zealand is to bring Sport New Zealand investment to the table and work with those national gaming trusts to bring as much resource to the table as well to add to their capital costs. Again, we don't know the quantums yet, and we'll carry on with those discussions, if I guess dependent on the council decision as well.
Reasonably significant amount?
We're looking to get a reasonably significant amount, yes.
Thank you.
Just wondered with the Metro Sports Facility, what your involvement, if any, has been with that, and if you see any replication in this, and just what your position is on.
My colleague Richard Lindsay, who's a National Facilities Advisor, is on the project team and working very closely with Council, Sarah and all the parties involved with planning for the Metro. This adds to the infrastructure that we do have. It's not, it doesn't cut across anything that both athletics, hockey and tennis have. So it's catering for different sports. It also caters for a wider recreation space as well. So this is adding, this is complementary to, Ngā Pinawa is complementary to the Metro Centre.
There's been some, thank you for your presentation, there's been some concern about the area of impervious surfaces, for example, to make up the all-weather fields. And I'm just wondering, is there a material for an all-weather type track or playing field that in fact would be pervious? Do you know if that's potentially
Our
part
understanding
of
is that the quality of land has already been assessed by the feasibility that's been completed on and it's fine for building.
Yes, but I was really just asking you though about the possibility of a material which will be all weather, which might be pervious. Do you know if that might be available?
I'm not aware of that. As far as I know, with the all-weather athletics tracks, they are impervious to water, and that's just the nature of the surface that they have to run and compete on.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I guess just this is one I guess the part we wanted to concentrate on our submission, but as part of our submission as well, was to thank and acknowledge the input that council puts into sport and recreation. It's all we'll take our submission as read, but really want to acknowledge the council's contribution to sport and recreation. We believe it adds value to the city as a whole, and as I know certainly coming down here from to Christchurch years ago as a student. Sport and recreation has been a big part of the city, so we thank the council for your contribution, and we hope to take this forward as well and support you in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you.